So this is number 14 of our discussion starters, and we're in James chapter 5. We're talking about faith. Faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. That comes from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. When we talk about faith, then, in James, he talks about, is there any trouble? Any of you in trouble? He should pray. Is anyone happy? Let him sing songs of praise. Is any one of you sick? He should call the elders of the church and pray over him and anoint him with oil in the name of the Lord. And the prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well, and the Lord will raise him up. If he has sinned, he will be forgiven. Therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. And then James goes on and gives the example of Elijah. If we remember in 1 Kings chapter 18, Elijah was in that situation where Israel had been led away from their faith, and he, out of his faith in God, went to Mount Carmel, challenged the prophets of Baal, set up an altar, and didn't even bring a match to light the sacrifice. His faith in God was rewarded by the fact that not only did God send fire to consume the sacrifice, but it consumed all the water in the pit, it consumed everything around it. It was a prayer of faith. Our faith does change things. Our faith makes a difference. And I'd ask the question to you today, how do you find your soul? Because it is that our soul within us that is the seat of our faith. Do we rest our lives in God? Do we have faith He's really going to come through on what He says? Does the patience that we talked about in the clip before become part of our faith? That God really does have this and He really will see us through? I mean, it was not just black and white in Elijah's time either, but he was a man of faith. He prayed that it wouldn't rain, and it didn't rain for 3 years, 3 long years, and God had to sustain him during that time as well. And then when he did pray, rain came. At the end of this passage, it says, "Brothers, if one of you should wander from the truth and someone should bring him back, remember this: whoever turns a sinner from the error of his way will save him from death and cover a multitude of sins." It's almost as if James is saying, this faith needs to go not only for our daily lives, not only for what happens in our lives, but a prayer of faith needs to be for those who are sick, those who need our prayers, but also those who don't have Jesus yet. Is our faith moving out in the community? So I'd like you to think about, does your faith in God empower your actions in your community? Does your faith in God empower what you're doing? And I'm not only talking about your family. I'm talking about your church. I'm talking about your community, what you're doing in town, what you do through your workplace. Does your faith in God empower your actions? This is the last of our series, and I hope you found it helpful. In fact, I ask you to put some comments in the link below to let me know if you'd like some more of these kind of things, and maybe even suggest a book that you would like for us to work with these discussion starters. It's been a privilege to be a part of your home and your study and your group, and I pray God's blessing upon you. More than anything else, I hope that our time in James has caused us to think about not only how God is working in our everyday, but how we are participating in our part of God's eternity. Think about it.